when I stayed in that emergency domestic violence shelter in March of 2012 in California, while my Omar was finally safe in an undisclosed location. I.e., I'm not telling you anything about that. Just as I'm not allowed, quote, allowed, unquote, to reveal anything about the emergency domestic violence shelter I stayed in. But that's for the safety of the residents, you know what I mean? The current residents, the future residents. The place probably still exists. It was a lockdown place. You don't leave it unless you go out in a group chaperoned by, an employee that works there. Anyway, I only had the clothes on my back, and I needed socks. They didn't have any socks available for the people staying there, women staying there. Women, not people. It's an emergency domestic violence shelter for women. And they do have you sign something saying you'll never talk about the place again, because there are women who are hiding there, so, they have boyfriends or husbands who might hurt them if if they're found, if those women are found, So I keep my word regarding that, okay? Even though I don't think anything would happen to me if I did spill the beans. I won't do that, I won't put those women at risk. I don't remember anything off the top of my head anyway. I have it all written down, though, as in what the name of the place was and where it was in California and whatnot. Anyway, all they had were Christmas socks, and I still have them. These are Christmas socks they gave me. They didn't have any socks except Christmas socks. And I wear them like as slippers. I also I think there were volunteers who like to do something nice for the women in there, and I actually got which you're going to find interesting because it's California. But remember, when you live in California, you might think, because it doesn't get that cold or whatnot. But in the wintertime, they still will wear like hat, gloves, scarves. It's would be a joke to people here in New England, but I lived there in California long enough, in the Los Angeles, Culver City area. I lived there long enough to, like I said, New Englanders would laugh, but I lived there long enough that yeah, you wear a winter coat and stuff in the winter, you do. And in this case, they hand knit, some volunteer group hand knit beautiful scarves. So they gave me one of those. I still have it. And it has a little card, And it's actually really beautiful. Why am I talking about this now? Because I found these and put them on, and that's where they came from. So, I need to go to bed. I haven't been reading for quite some time. I stopped. I was in the habit of reading them every day. My, is it called Daily Health Letter or something? I'm going to tell you what it's called. John Barron. He has Baseline Nutritionals. And, actually I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to log into my, I have to worry about you seeing it, me log into my email. It's called Daily Health Letter or something like that. It's John Barron, and he also has a company, Baseline Nutritionals, and I've ordered stuff from them here or there. But there was an article that I happened to stumble across when I was cleaning my email. I got it all down to nothing, and it was up to like 1,200 or something because I went a whole week or more without going on email at all. And this particular article was very fascinating. It's on how childhood trauma, and it lists 9 traumas, and then it added a couple more, but it's how, what the hell? These need to be washed. Anyway, obviously this is not even remotely any type of glamour video. It doesn't have to be age restricted either. Childhood trauma. There's 9 primary traumas, and you know, a lot of us have, you know, a significant percentage have gone through childhood trauma. And they've done studies that the more traumas out of those 9 that kids go through, the more likely they are to have both emotional problems, which kind of you suspect, but also physical problems as adults. They've done studies, because some cynical people will say, well, yeah, it's probably, you know, they tend to live less, you know, they don't live as long, the telomeres are shorter, and then they'll say, yeah, because if you suffered a lot as a kid, you'd make bad choices as an adult. But apparently they allow for that, and it still comes out that kids who suffer childhood trauma have tend to have a lot more, they're more likely to come down with cancer or things like that, and I guess they've done a broad study of this. It's kind of interesting. So I, of course, had to post it everywhere, you know, my usual Google, Facebook, Twitter. Share just a little bit of it with you guys when I should be in bed. Okay, it's called Childhood Trauma Impacts Health in Adulthood. It's Baseline of Health. He sometimes does advanced articles. I don't know that he necessarily writes them. One was really good on polypharmacy. Polypharmacy is a huge thing, because whenever it lists side effects of any kind of medication, not just the psychiatric medication my mom takes. Remember, I don't take any medication. I refuse. Even when my mom will be here and she'll be like, I have a headache. And I'm like, I don't have any aspirin. I don't have any. You don't have any? No, I don't. You're welcome to bring it here, but her headache goes away on its own. You know what I mean? Even the people will say, maybe not people want to sell the headache medication, you know, but other than that, a lot of times a headache, if you don't just reach for a pill, you know, reach medication, the headache goes away. And it has for her. I've seen it happen repeatedly. So I tell you, experts, whatever, maybe, like I said, if you don't have ulterior motives. In the natural world, people will say, give it a chance at least. They say wait a little bit before reaching for Advil or Tylenol or whatever, and a lot of times the headache will go away. Okay? In any case, I don't take anything, even when I have. But you can't fault my mom. It's how she was raised. It's how her mentality is going to be like that. Because when I tell her I have bathroom problems, well, Pepto-Bismol, but I don't take Pepto-Bismol, Mom. None of that crap is good. It's good to address those kinds of things, the C or the D, bathroom problems, with natural things, food, I don't take any of that crap. It's not crap to you, more power to you, Mom wanted her Pepto-Bismol and she bought it. I don't know when she bought it. It wasn't with me, whatever. But, she can have it, and then she never uses it because she can't open it. So, she didn't tell me right away. I don't know. Anyway, childhood trauma impacts health in adulthood. Let's see what this has to say. So they had the primary 9, and then new research, it says, adds a few other traumas to the list. So, it says for most children, the so-called idyllic, it's not, youth isn't really all that blissful, it's all a myth. And then they say it's hard enough for regular disappointments like, not making cheerleading squad or tryouts for a sport or what have you, okay? Or not being in the popular crowd or any number of things. But then it says, on top of that, most kids suffer at least one major ongoing trauma at home. Now, the CDC has identified 9 childhood traumas that have profound lifelong effects. They're called adverse childhood experiences. Nice, huh? Nice little official term for the hell so many of us go through as kids, okay? And the kids who don't go through that kind of shit couldn't even imagine it, okay? Let's just put it out there because it's the truth. They wouldn't even be able to understand it, couldn't even imagine it, okay? For example, my freshman college roommate, Sarah, told me that she had a good childhood, and she's like, and you tell her this, that, or whatever about yourself, and she's like, I can't even imagine going one day without friends, okay? But the people who didn't, suffer any major traumas. Again, nobody's childhood is perfect. I'm not saying that, right? But in any case, there's 9 of them, and they've added, new research has added a few others. And my question was, is it referring to just once? Because I first wrote, one of them is sexual abuse, and I wrote that's a gray area. It's not ongoing, but I think it's just referring, it could be just once. It doesn't have to be an ongoing. It's a childhood trauma, right? Because if it doesn't have to be ongoing, it doesn't specify, but I don't think it's supposed to be ongoing. But I don't know, maybe it is supposed to be ongoing, in which case, if it doesn't have to be ongoing, then you add, for me, both physical and sexual would be this. Abusive alcoholic stepfather belted me, and but only that one time. And then I think my father hit me once too, but it wasn't like ongoing. So I'm not sure if this means ongoing or not. Of course, ongoing is going to affect you more, but in the case it says, on top of this, most kids suffer at least one major ongoing trauma. Okay, it does have to be ongoing. I missed that part. Okay. Oh, see, I missed that part. It has to be ongoing. So I'll remove those other ones. I basically said anyway if that wasn't ongoing. And I don't think my father's appreciation of my voluptuous body or comments constitutes sexual abuse, but it certainly, wasn't pleasant. It's kind of, it's non-physical sexual abuse, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it. Anyway, the other ones were ongoing. So, this is the 9. I missed that ongoing part. But even when I wrote what I wrote, first of all, I can edit my post. But I said, if it doesn't have to be ongoing, then you'd add physical and sexual abuse to the list. But I missed that ongoing trauma. Okay, so it's ongoing. Now, the divorce, separation, divorce, whatever, that took place when I was 2. But it still, doesn't matter if I don't consciously remember it, It's still considered. Anyway, so we have adverse childhood experiences. The top 9, they have the top 9. Emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, witnessing intimate partner violence, which means witnessing, your parents, whatever. And they say intimate partner because it doesn't have to be parents. It could be also your mom's boyfriend, or in the case of my abusive alcoholic stepfather, who started off as her boyfriend, okay? So that's violence, because I definitely witnessed that. Okay, witnessing intimate partner violence, problematic drinking or alcoholism of a household member, we already know about Irv. Illegal street or prescription drug use by a household member, household mental illness, my mom, parental separation or divorce, my dad left when I was 2, incarcerated household member. Okay, so those are the 9, and then new research added parental death, neglect, growing up in an environment of violence and racism. Studies show that traumas of this magnitude have such a profound effect on a child's physiology that they continue to affect mental and physical health long into adulthood. I'm not surprised by that at all. And then I guess some lucky kids turn 18 without, experiencing any of those aforementioned things. Almost 2/3 experience at least one such trauma. Over 22%, nearly 1 out of every 4 children suffer through 3 or more adverse childhood experiences. 1 out of every 6 endures 4 or more. The most common one is emotional abuse. 35% of kids endure that. And then household substance abuse, 25% of all children. About 23% experience parental divorce or separation. And about 16% household mental illness or physical abuse. They did a huge study, and the results showed that risk for both acute and chronic disease, not just mental issues, but also serious life-threatening physical illness, dramatically escalated with each ACE the individual experienced as a kid. Imagine that. Exposure to trauma during childhood can dramatically increase people's risk for 7 out of 10 of the leading causes of death in the U.S., including high blood pressure, heart disease, and cancer. The study found that those who experienced 4 ACEs as kids had 2.5 times the risk of chronic pulmonary disease and hepatitis in adulthood compared to those with no ACEs. 4.5 times the risk of depression and 12 times the risk of suicide. Those with 7 or more had 3.5 times the risk of heart disease and 3 times the risk of lung cancer, and 20-year reduction in life expectancy. And it said, this is the key, the inflated risk remained even, because people will say, oh, it's probably because they make bad choices as adults when they suffered so much as kids. But it says, the inflated risk remained even in the absence of high-risk behaviors like smoking and drinking. And then a new study in 2010 found an increased risk for heart attack, diabetes, stroke, asthma, overall poor health, frequent mental distress, and disability among those who underwent at least one ACE. That's why, you know, they said some dismissed the correlation, saying, yeah, you suffered as a kid and then you grew up and smoke and drink and eat donuts or whatever. But no, they said it remained even when they took that into account. Now, this is interesting. Health suffers among ACE survivors even in the absence of high-risk behaviors. They're saying that this could be because human biology prompts us to release adrenaline and cortisol when we're faced with frightening or painful events. Most of us know that. But when stress is ongoing, and you have to take into account, too, a kid doesn't know how to process any of it. So when stress is ongoing, we get stuck in a state of constant hyper-alert, and our body keeps releasing these stress hormones. And children's developing bodies aren't equipped to deal with the constant influx of stress hormones. So the overload ends up affecting their brain function, immune system, hormonal systems, and even their DNA. Bottom line is, it sucks to go through a whole bunch of shit as an adult, but when you go through it as a freaking kid, it's just hell on earth. And I went through, I have a whole bunch on that list, but I shouldn't even be here, so come on in. Come on. Come on. Come on. Up on the bed. All things considered. Stay on the bed. Anyway, before this topples over, let me tell you. So this is what I wrote. I'm not surprised by that article that I read. Here's my list. Emotional abuse, witnessing intimate partner violence. That was between my mom and, an abusive alcoholic stepfather. So, witnessing intimate partner violence, problematic drinking or alcoholism of a household member, household mental illness, parental separation or divorce. And then I put sexual abuse, not ongoing, gray area, but I missed the ongoing part of that article even though I read it. So that I did put the little star. If it only has to happen to you once in order to be included in your list, then you would have to add both physical and sexual abuse to a list of traumas I suffered as a kid. So not sexual abuse or physical abuse. That was not ongoing. Emotional abuse, oh, you betcha. 4 years of living hell where I wanted to die most days. here I still stand breathing, alive and kicking, even if only barely. It makes sense though. Kids can't process all of that, you know. A lot of times they also blame themselves. I blame myself for my mom's illness, you know. It's because I was a fucked up little kid, and, you know. But it's key being kid, okay? Like they said, when you're a little kid, you're a kid forced to parent your own sick parent, you know. Of course, if I was mean to my mom, because I just wanted a normal mother, and then she gets sick again, I am going to blame myself. And then, of course, I lost her. And I had to move in with my father. Who was supposed to make it all better, and instead proceeded to crush into the dust my last miraculous speck of self-esteem I had left. So it has to be ongoing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I had 5. Because neither sexual nor physical abuse was ongoing. So I had 5. So my mom, not me, okay, it was nighttime and I was bored and I thought, why not check it out? But my mom was really looking forward to the remake of Charmed, and neither my mother nor I liked it. I don't believe, I don't think my mom's not that, she's not the type, like, she's just not like that. She doesn't have any problem with homosexuality, you know, per se. Sometimes she'll be almost like a little kid, like, do you think he's gay, like in the movies or whatever. But in any case, Charmed is trying to be everything. So one of the Charmed sisters is a lesbian and a huge, feminist, is that whatever. And then another one is, I guess it's their half-sister is black, African American, or part, or whatever. I guess not full, but it doesn't matter. The fact is, my mother and I watched it, gave it a chance, and just didn't like it. She didn't like it. She chose to go to bed, she was so excited to watch it, and she just recently finished watching all the Charmed. Okay, she's seen them on the TV. I've had her watching tons and tons of them on Netflix because you could just watch them in order, and she's done. And this new one is so different from the one that she's familiar with. She just doesn't like it. And I tried to give it a chance, and I wasn't crazy about the characters. I just didn't like it, you know. I asked my mom, she was so excited too. She's like, they're remaking Charmed. Yeah. You know, she thought it would be like the original. It's nothing like the original. Which makes sense. The original was it was many years ago, and we're in a different time now, and all these shows want to address that different time. But I think my mom was thrown off by one of the witches being a lesbian too, and you know, it's just different. I tried to give it a chance. I have it. I taped it. I had it taped instead in case my mom fell asleep and really wanted to see it. She's not going to watch it. She didn't like it. So, it's fine. She was all excited about it. She's talking about it weeks ahead of time, and it just disappointed. She's really disappointed. It's on the CW, it's not on mainstream, so I don't know how good it'll do in the ratings, but it'll probably survive anyway, you know. Even if it doesn't do wonderfully, it probably will do good in the ratings. The characters didn't really make me care about them. Maybe it would get better, but enough shit to watch, you know. I watch The Neighborhood and I don't really care for it. I'm going to watch The Connors tonight to see what happened to Roseanne, how she died on the show. But I don't know if I'll continue watching the show. And again, I only watched it because of my mom anyway. This is the final, my shows are the Big Bang Theory, as you know. This is the final season for Big Bang. Big Bang's going away. I watch Young Sheldon just for the hell of it. I'm watching A Million Little Things. I kind of got a little bit hooked on that. I like the honesty, and I like the character is struggling with depression and whatnot, and he was gonna kill himself right when he found out that his best friend of 10 years, they were all best friends for like 10, that had just killed himself. He spit out the pill. So, but now everyone knows about that. So. I had a feeling I would probably watch that show because I like the honesty in it. It's not phony, you know. It's addressing the big issues, you know, like mental illness and suicide and whatnot. What else? Modern Family I never really cared that much for, but my mom watched it and I kind of got hooked on it a little bit. But I can take it or leave it, you know. Mom. I really like Mom. I really like that show. Like I said, I really like The Big Bang Theory too, but this is the final season of Big Bang Theory. Hopefully Mom will be around for quite some time. It's only in its 6th year, you know. What else? The Good Doctor. I got hooked on that. I was hooked on The Crossing. I don't know if that's coming back. I found For the People is kind of interesting, just that whole world. Most shows don't interest me. Most sitcoms don't interest me, you know. I did like the Roseanne reboot. No, me, I probably will wind up watching The Conners, just... I don't know why I'm watching The Neighborhood. I don't really care for it. It does have the blonde from Two Broke Girls. I used to like Two Broke Girls. Watched a lot of Two Broke Girls on syndication. What else? This woman was in an apartment building. Every time I hear one of these stories, I'm just in shock. And wouldn't let this black guy go to his own apartment where he lived. She's like, you need to prove that you live here. No, he doesn't. This is ridiculous. This is insanity. This is like... I always say I can't be shocked. She would have let him go to... He lived there. I mean... She wound up calling the police. She's added to the list of whatever, but this is like... He lived there. And she harassed him. And she's like, you need to prove you live here. And she follows him on the elevator. I don't have to prove anything to you, lady. I mean, and she called the police. She called the police. He lived in the building. And on his part, you know, he took the high road. He's like, I don't want anyone harassing her. I don't wish her any ill will. She lost her job because he filmed her harassing him. You can't do that. She deserved to lose her job. You can't do that, period. Okay? It's just ridiculous. You just can't believe she did it. And then this woman in the fucking market, little corner market. She's being called Corner Market Caroline. I don't know what this other one's being called, but some in my book are worse than others. It's much worse to try to stop somebody who's just, he lives there. I mean, you don't, just because you don't know him or whatever, that's just insanity. You cannot... To me, that's worse than like Barbecue Becky or even the one who called the girl to do the lemonade stand. She said she didn't call the police anyway. She called a permit Patty. Okay, trying to stop somebody from where they live and saying they have to prove to you. No, they don't. They don't have to prove anything to you. We can't live like that, you know. And then this woman in the market, and speaking from somebody, by the way, because I'm not going to freak out even if an adult does it, okay, because I just am not the type. But speaking of someone who rides trains and you're crowded in like sardines, you can accidentally or on purpose, even as a woman, you can accidentally brush somebody, male or females, their backside with your hand or with your bag or whatever. It just happens in this life. Well, this woman in the market called the fucking cops on a 9-year-old, on a kid. I don't care if he did grab your ass intentionally. He's a fucking kid. He's 9 years old. She called the cops saying to the mom, you better not leave. I'm calling the cops or whatever. Well, they watched the surveillance camera. It turned out his backpack had accidentally brushed against her buttock cheeks. But again, when you realized he was 9 years old, even if he had grabbed your ass, you're going to call the police, you motherfucking, oh my God. And she apologized, but it's not good enough to apologize. That's insanity. Right? Even if he had done it, he's 9 years old. But it turned out, as I just said, has happened to me. I've done it, and I've had it done to me. I'm sure it happens all the time on the friggin' trains across the country, okay? Including here in Massachusetts, the MBTA, okay? All the different lines of color lines, you know, red and orange and green, whatever. Well, green is a trolley thing, so. But you know what I mean? When you're shoved in there, you can easily, so easily, and I'm sorry, but you can also do it on purpose. And I'm sure there are men who do it on purpose, who accidentally brush their hands up against women's backsides or whatnot, okay? But it can definitely happen totally unintentionally. And again, this was a fucking 9-year-old. He's 9 years old. Like I said, even I'm thinking to myself, this is unbelievable. She called the police on a 9-year-old. And the 9-year-old was traumatized. He hadn't done anything. And it goes without saying, of course, she's white, he's black. I mean, I don't even have to say that kind of shit anymore, right? But 9 years old. She found out it was a 9-year-old who supposedly had grabbed her ass in the market, and she calls the police on a 9-year-old. I'm saying to myself, I don't even care if he did grab your ass, he's 9 years old. You don't call the police on a 9-year-old. Oh my God, and it turned out his backpack had brushed against her buttocks. I mean, is that the age we're living in now, where women are going to call the police on a 9-year-old boy? I mean, that's sickening. That is so sickening. It's so sickening. And again, she didn't see him do anything. It's not like he was in front of her and grabbed her crotch or something. Things can happen. Things can happen. I've had it happen to me on the train. You know, especially when you're crowded in there, people have bags, people have backpacks. Backpacks and bags and whatnot can brush against your ass, or your, you know, it can, or your breast. It can happen. You're shoved in there like sardines. But in this case, poor kid, 9 years old. The woman flipped out and called the police on a 9-year-old who she falsely believed had grabbed her ass. Apparently she can't tell the difference between a backpack rubbing her ass but she said, well, it felt like he didn't grab it, that he grabbed her. But again, a bag can feel the same as a hand. Unless it's squishing, you know, then you know someone's doing it on purpose. Otherwise, people can have accidents. It's ridiculous. I've been saying that a lot lately, huh? That's ridiculous. This white woman, who does she think she is? Seriously. Who does she think she is? Like they're saying, she's not the police. She's not building security. You can't just demand for... People have rights. She's on the... He filmed her saying, you're not going anywhere. He actually lived there. You're not going anywhere until you prove to me that you're supposed to be here. No. She lost her fucking job. She deserved it. Because her boss found out what she had done. Like, we don't tolerate that. We don't tolerate racial profiling, and it's just ridiculous. People of all races live in apartment buildings, you know. Unreal. That doesn't explain, did he come in when she came in, which she wouldn't be in every right, just like when I lived in California in the townhomes or whatever, you have a front gate, it's a gated thing, gated community, and you feel bad, but you do have the right to, you're supposed to, but even they tell you shouldn't let someone in behind you. You should slam the door in their face, basically, make them use a key to get in or get buzzed in if they're visiting friends. But you have this mentality that you don't want to do that, you know? And that's how bad things can happen. So that might have been what happened. He followed her in, and then she's like, you need to tell me where you're going. And he's like, I live here, and she wanted him to prove it. They didn't say that piece of the puzzle, but that could be what happened. He followed her in, otherwise she would know that he has a key or whatever, so. But she would have been in her right, you don't want to do it. I used to have people not do it to me, and I wish that they would do it, because then you know they're not doing it to anybody, including who could be an unsavory character. And also, people could climb over that wall. One time we didn't have a way to get in, and Donald climbed over. He nearly hurt himself, too. He's not spring chicken anymore, you know. He shouldn't have been doing it. But we couldn't get in. We didn't have the keys, and there was no one home to buzz us in, and we were waiting quite some time, and finally Donald's like, fuck this, and he climbed over. There's nothing I could do to stop him. If he got hurt, but his own damn fault. You can't reason with him. I knew he shouldn't be doing it, though. You can't necessarily do things in your 40s that you could do when you're in your 20s, you know what I mean? And the wall was pretty high, and yeah, he could have hurt himself. But he didn't feel like waiting out there. You know, sometimes you get lucky and people come by, other times not so much. And then people leave and can let you in. Fasted yesterday on water, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, and I also had I tried ginger beer. I bought the ginger beer to have with my vodka at some point, but I tried ginger beer. Ginger beer is good. It's not like ginger ale, and plus I bought one that doesn't have like high fructose corn syrup or anything like that. It's like a natural, more, you know, it's really tasty. It has this little kick to it from the ginger. Nothing like ginger ale. I like it. Like, definitely be mixing this. But I drank it. I drank it yesterday. So I still consider it fasting, even though I had some, I think it's agave syrup in it or something. I consider it fasting if I just don't have any solid food. A little bit of ginger beer, plus just mostly water. That's fasting. We'll see what I weigh later on today. I didn't weigh myself yesterday. The period's just getting over with. So I don't know if I'll fast again today. See what happens. Anyway, that's it. Be real careful because I didn't put this on anything and it might